Hi, this is Mr. Whaley. Thanks for joining me. I want to talk about my project style and grades, or in other words, your project style and grades. Projects are divided into grades. So you might see one assignment posted and it seems like, oh, there's so much work in this, I can't do this. Well, it's because it's divided, so it's all connected, multiple grades in a project or even inside the project, mini projects. So what are we talking about in this video? Assignments, project style, and grades. Why are we talking about it? Because I want to empower students to take their success into their own hands. So you understand this, you can run with it, and you can focus on getting better at your thinking and your skills. How are we going to do this? Okay, I'm going to give you two examples of mini projects. One that we've done, one that we're in the middle of. So the last one we went through, this mini project, was the crime scene sketch. First, 2.2a, we set up a glossary for elements of a crime scene sketch. So I gave you a grade specifically for just, did you organize that data in a table? You didn't even finish doing the work of it, but you did the organizing of it. I gave you a grade for that. Did you describe the elements of a crime scene sketch? So 2.2a was you completed at least 4 element descriptions and depictions for a crime scene sketch. A lot of you did more than 4, but maybe one of them wasn't quite best description, but you still got 4, so you got 100. Organizing data in a sketch. Then you started to apply it. So first, 2.2b, you set up your crime scene sketch. Did you post your title and legend information of your Nutshells crime scene based on the rubric? Then you got a grade for that. If you then finally applied your ability to describe the elements of a crime scene sketch to creating your own crime scene sketch, then you got a grade for 2.2b sketch criteria. And that's where I was counting, did you meet the criteria based on those descriptions of the elements of a crime scene? Did you include those accurately in your sketch according to the rubric? Real quickly, I'm going to run through those resources. Here is the glossary of crime scene sketching. It looked something like this, where you put at the top what you were supposed to be doing, and then you did it. You had the concept, you had the description, you had the depiction. So that's a good example there. And so here you can see it completed. I wasn't super happy with this as a description drawn to scale. That's very accurate. I really appreciate that. Now, but when I see the depiction, I think, okay, I think they do understand roughly what this is. Okay, so that's kind of how I graded that. Let me look at so that has 2 parts. If you just had without the descriptions and depictions, you got the first grade. Then if you got the descriptions and depictions done with at least 4, then you, because I said 4, at least the 4 terms in bold, so that was these ones up here. You didn't have to do measurements, but you have to include measurements in your sketch in order to get the scale. So this is an example of one that got a 100 in our class. This was, the address was red bedroom. And I will move on. Then this was the rubric for the CER. Okay, so I need to move on to the next example. The courtroom testimony overall, that's the mini project here, right? How do we communicate in the courtroom of evidence? So 2.3a, CER of space alien. So CER is the framework of communication of scientific conclusions. Identify the critical thinking, logical reasoning of the girl in the commercial by watching, listening, and writing. Then 2.3b, CER, forensic files. 2 evidence items were required for that. Use the critical thinking and logical reasoning of the investigators in the video in a real crime by watching, listening, and writing. And then 2.3c, 3 CERs based on your 3 hypotheses from the 7 evidence items from 2.1 that you should have already ready for you. And you're going to apply your critical thinking and logical reasoning of your nutshell case by using the items of evidence you observed and processed in order to write 3 CERs. And real quick run through that. Here's your CER rubric. What is your claim? Discuss your evidence. This relates to gathering and processing of information, levels 1 and 2 thinking, as well as reasoning, which would be level 3 thinking, and connecting, explaining how that evidence comes together to support your claim statement. Claim statement is similar to a hypothesis. And here is your place where you would have typed your alien CER, and then you copy and paste a similar table, and then provide a CER, something like this. This is an example that I've shared with you on Google Classroom that a student did, and I've kind of typed into it a little bit. It doesn't need to be quite this long. There's some extra information inside here. What I'm looking for is verbs, like what is the observable evidence and how was it get collected or gathered? Okay, biological evidence found. Okay, how? In an autopsy. Okay, what was their conclusion? Sexual assault, and it contained DNA. And so how did they analyze or process that? Well, they put it in the FBI's CODIS. They didn't find anything. There's some extra information somewhere along here, but then we get into the witness test, the new test, DNA witness. And this led to concluding the person's race, and they also did another test in between to see. They gave him some random people's DNA to test, and they noticed he was accurate when it came to the physical appearance of those people. And so then that narrowed their search until they finally found the surviving victim, and they connected, or they off a witness, they collected his DNA and compared his DNA to that of perspiration DNA left on her blouse. So see, how did they find that? It was found on her blouse. How did they test it? Well, they compared it. Or how did they analyze it or process it? They compared it and got a match. So and here's another one, found under the fingernails and compared. So I'm looking for verbs like that. Found here, compared by doing this. And then the reasoning, I won't go into detail with that example, but that's where we're at so far in the project, is to 2.3b, so that you can make sure you get all the grades in the project. These are big grades, and that each one builds on the other. So you need to make sure you do the first one so you can do the second one better and do the third one. Okay? Thank you very much. Thanks for paying attention. Stay safe and make it whale money.